Aside from the USA, whenever a country with moderate gun control has a high casualty mass shooting incident, you can always count on the swift implementation of new gun control measures there. This was true of Australia and Britain in decades past, and more recently New Zealand and Canada have followed suit.
I want to speak specifically about the firearms used in this terrorist act. I'm advised that there were 5 guns used by the primary perpetrator. There were 2 semi-automatic weapons and 2 shotguns. The offender was in possession of a gun license. I'm advised that this was acquired in November of 2017. A lever-action firearm was also found. While work is being done as to the chain of events that led to both the holding of this gun license and the possession of these weapons, I can tell you one thing right now: our gun laws will change.
Today, we are closing the market for military-grade assault weapons in Canada. We are banning 1,500 models and variants of these firearms by way of regulations. These weapons were designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to kill the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time. There is no use and no place for such weapons in Canada. But you don't need an AR-15 to bring down a deer. So, effective immediately, it is no longer permitted to buy, sell, transport, import, or use military-grade assault weapons in this country. To protect law-abiding gun owners from criminal liability until they can take steps to comply with this new law, there will be a 2-year amnesty period, and we will legislate fair compensation.
You've closed the market on 2 things, Mr. Trudeau: Jack and shit. The weapons the Nova Scotia shooter used last month to kill 22 people were illegally purchased. No one on earth has the power to stop the flow of weapons, just as it is impossible to stop the flow of drugs in the modern world. So it is with guns. Take the U.S. state of California, for example. They have some of the strictest gun control measures in America, and they have a gun problem.
And while California has some of the toughest gun restrictions in the country, there's a loophole that people are using to get around the law. According to the Gun Control Act of 1968, it's perfectly legal for anyone, except for convicted felons, to make guns in the comfort of their own home. The thing is, these guns don't have serial numbers, and in the eyes of the government, they don't exist. So, can you tell us your name and where we are right now?
I'm Dan. You're at my machine shop in La Habra. I'm a machinist. I've been one for 20 years.
And what kind of stuff do you make here?
Here we primarily make automotive components.
And on your own time, what kind of stuff do you make?
I make guns on my own time.
Nice.
I made 2 ARs. It's done on something like this, where you have your workpiece clamped to the table, and I programmed the language to tell it where to cut. And then the tool comes down and the tool spins.
Can we take a look at your gun?
Yeah.
Cool. And what do you like best about making your own gun?
I'm pretty sure this guy just made the receiver and ordered the rest of the parts. I think the receiver is the only part that's actually illegal in California, if I remember right.
Part's taking a chunk of metal and making something out of nothing. You know, for me, it's not about the serial number. It's where some guys think that the government's going to come and seize all the guns and use sale records to find them. I don't think it's possible. I just wanted to make one because I could, and it's not illegal, so I did.
We're here in Echo Park. We're going to talk to Senator Kevin De Leon, who's sort of a lone voice in trying to enact some law that'll regulate these guns. In 2014, California State Senator Kevin De Leon attempted several times to pass a bill that would seal the loophole.
To be legal under SB 808, the measure that I will be introducing tomorrow in the Senate Public Safety Committee, ghost guns will have to be registered with the Department of Justice through a serial number and a gun owner background check.
The question is, should individuals have the right
to assemble assault weapons with no traceable number that's not registered with the Department of Justice. Therefore, law enforcement has no clue that the assault weapon exists. Individuals are assembling these high-powered assault weapons, ghost guns, and they're selling them to drug cartels south of the border. They're selling them to gang members. We got folks in the black market who are making a killing, no pun intended, with regards to the manufacturing of these ghost guns.
Well, I guess if California just tightens up its gun control measures a bit further, then dangerous guns will just vanish from the earth. Well, not really.
We traveled to this area 3 years ago when we wanted to visit a massive illegal arms market, believed to be a source of weapons for the Taliban. It's been called the most dangerous place in the world and is now basically closed to outsiders and journalists. So I asked my mom to call her buddy. He was the chief secretary of the Northwest Frontier Province of Pakistan. With his help, we got our own private militia, and they made sure we wouldn't get kidnapped or killed.
If everybody come to my side, I will definitely kill him.
After Khyber, we went into Dara. That's where the arms market is.
So when you were explaining to the officials what we wanted to do,
Yeah.
the old man started laughing when you said we wanted to shoot guns and maybe buy some guns.
Yeah.
I think he liked that idea.
He liked
that idea.
He was laughed. He was laughed.
He was laughed.
Yeah. People of this area believe many sons and a lot of guns. This is the philosophy of the Dara peoples.
During the 80s, the Soviet-Afghan War was happening. All the scrap metal from all the broken down tanks and guns that they would find, they would bring it back over and then replicate firearms.
First they will show you how the gun is making, how the bullet is making. Then they show you the shooting area.
So in the whole town, they make 1,000 guns a day here, and they've been doing that for 70 years. That's a lot of guns. So this guy is making 9mm pistols with his bare hands. The guy who's making it is deaf. It's a Mauser, but it says made as China by Norinco. This is the cartridge. He has no tongue.
3,050 rupees price.
3,050 rupees? We're hearing lots of guns being shot around us, and they're just checking to make sure that the guns work. And they're doing it with live ammo. What I'm wondering is, they shoot it up in the air. Where do the bullets fall?
This one is one of the big and popular shop in this gun market.
It's time to go gun shopping. Here's an Italian machine. This is like a Kalashnikov? Kalashnikov. It says it's a Muzzleite. I think you could do some damage with this.
The gun makers of Dara have been in decline in recent years, as the fighting in Afghanistan and northern Pakistan has decreased, and with the war on terror seeming to wind down, demand for weapons has ebbed, but the gun makers still exist there. And Pakistan isn't the only place in the world where poor people make fair quality guns from simple tools and scrap metal.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Actually, in other places in the Philippines, near the city of Danao.
So the Philippines is so gun crazy that here in Danao, there's actually an entire illicit and highly illegal network of underground gun makers, some of which are so brazen that they operate right here in people's backyards.
Oh, so this is where pretty much the magic happens? So can you show me a little bit about what the process is here?
Primero, Juan, queremos hot bar, con the pattern.
But this is literally just like the outline of a gun? That's how this works? You just put this on this and trace? Like, really? I can't believe that really worked like that. That's why I would have thought it worked when I was 5. That's crazy.
Balisan ay primero, pattern for.
We're making a gun out of an old ship right now. You still see the paint on it, actually. And this is just like a 45?
Hindi, nagkuhan pa niya siya, 38 niya siya nga snabnos. Hammerless niya siya, hammerless nga bodyguard na model. Nang piring mga parts niya sa wall. Hammer, trigger,
Yeah,
cylinder.
sure. Almost got a gun.
Barrel.
How long does it take to make like 138 snub nose like this?
2 weeks.
And how much does it cost?
Snabnos, ang hatag yung mga kuhan mo ni. Pindi ko sa model, kini siya 4,000 siya.
How do people know to come back here to buy guns?
Yung naa sila contact dire. Mura tayo lang ko ano ang ilang contact nga. Mag-guide nila nga. Magapalit sila kuhan, sola.
Keep the guns in a purse. Is that part of the secretive part here?
Mga finish na kuhan. Finish siya kuhan, 35 ni.
Oh, wow. Nice looking gun. And this whole thing was built in that shed. Mind if I hold it? Wow. Look, a bit of weight to it. Oh, what's that one? Oh, wow. Very cool. They're good looking guns, man. I now know that making guns is a terrifyingly easy thing to do here in the Philippines.
Many of these Filipino ghost guns find their way to American streets and into the hands of gangbangers. What could anyone in a nation awash in guns need with a gun made from scrap metal? Apparently the lack of a serial number and record of sale make it an ideal tool for gang assassinations.
Payback is picking up a brand new delivery from his gun dealer for his next hit, a ghost gun.
There it is, the Colt 45, 1911, big gun. No matter what, this thing's going off without a hitch. This thing never jams.
Not only do Nightscope's customers demand something reliable, their guns have to be untraceable.
As far as I know, I bought it from a nation. I'm Filipino. I don't really ask too many questions about where I come from. As long as I can get them for the right price, get them off to guys like this, I can double my money. He's happy, I'm happy.
Thanks to California's restrictive gun laws, Nightscope has no shortage of customers. This means he can sell his range of guns at top dollar.
They cost a lot more here on the street because people that can't find them, can't get them, and there's a market for them like you won't believe.
These ghost guns are in high demand because secondhand firearms come with a heavy risk.
Every gun comes with a serial number, and if it's knocked off, you know that's a dirty gun.
If it looks like it killed a whole bunch of people, it probably has. You hold on to it, you don't know what you're holding on to. You might be holding on to 2 or 3 murders.
With every shot fired at a crime scene, even a ghost gun begins to build up a detectable trail. But while still fresh on the streets, a Ghost 45 can fetch $2,000.
Try to stay away from the hot pieces, because I'm a hot boy. I don't need a gun that's going to get me in trouble, because I'm causing the trouble.
I suppose if our laws were stern enough, then we could rid ourselves of these ghost guns that would obviously take the place of legal weapons once gun control was a consensus of every government in the world. You might think this if you had never heard of the Polish Warsaw Uprising of 1944 during World War II. Meet the Błyskawice SMG. This is the thing that was produced in World War II by the Polish underground in preparation for the 1944 uprising. Designed by engineers in 1943, it was planned for a long time. They made about 700 of these things right under the noses of the Nazis. Here's one of the resistance fighters with the weapon right there. They even had the time to put these little lightning bolts on the armrest of the weapon. Very strange. Seems like a lot of added trouble. If it was hard for the Nazis to keep fully automatic weapons from being produced right under their noses, how much harder would it be for governments today, where people are 3D printing toys with moving parts right in their own homes? And even metal gun parts are 3D printed by computer-run machines working directly from a downloaded schematic. In the end, it doesn't matter. as every nation on Earth that makes money selling small arms aren't going to all suddenly give up the business. Even in progressive Europe, guns are a big business. Small countries over there, like Belgium, Italy, Austria, export more small arms per capita than the United States does. Major small arms producers like Germany often have attacks of conscience about where their weapons are sold, like the one late last year where they halted arms shipments to Turkey because of their involvement in the ongoing conflict in Syria. But with Turkey now constructing their own high-quality assault rifles, one questions if any real results will come from Germany's high-handed moral stance. If a small arms maker stops the flow of weapons, they could simply diminish the business of their own weapons industry. Israel is another nation that faces a lot of criticism from around the world and also famously makes one of the best bullpup rifles in the world. During the Cold War, Russia flooded the world with tens of millions of AK-47s, first to spread communism in a world heavily colonized by the West, and later just to make money. But in case one hopes these powerful weapons will all break down and stop functioning soon, Russia is keeping the Kalashnikov name alive with their own current version, the AK-12. It looks a lot like the old AK.
Russian military standard, and also to address the Russian Army's concerns regarding the cost and issues in fully...
I'm sorry that some are made to feel uncomfortable by a world full of powerful firearms, but they are in no danger of ever going away. The right to bear arms, though, by law-abiding citizens, this is something that is truly in danger.